Before I begin this video, let me just say all this is for fun. I'm not like a serious literary analysis or anything like that, and if I pronounce anything incorrectly, please forgive me. English is my only language, and I'm not very good at foreign language. But regardless, let's begin. When 1.1 finally hit in Genshin, one of the updates included the final act in Liyue. In this act, we get to see the full plan of Zhongli and why he chose to fake his death as Rex Lapis, the Geo Archon. In this video, I will talk about why these quests in particular make me genuinely like the character. So two little background things first. So for me when playing the game, I wasn't really too big on any of the characters. In terms of girls, I like Fischl a decent amount. She's electric and has a raven, which is pretty cool. She's a Chinyomyo, but it's pretty annoying, but I can just kind of laugh at it at the end of the day, so it wasn't too bad. In terms of guy characters though, I'm more drawn to the more serious looking mature characters like an Elsword like Raven and Solus, and no one was really quite hitting the mark. Diluc came pretty close, but I don't know, I feel like he has some severe babyface syndromes. And then here comes Zhongli. Just from his looks alone, I was honestly really attached to him. He looked so cool, and it was honestly good enough for me at that point. And now to set the stage in Liyue. If you guys already know everything about the story quest, you can skip this segment and move on to the next segment. This is just so all the information is in one video and it's just nicely wrapped up. Liyue was first established when Morax signed a contract with the Adepti 3,700 years ago, and the Adepti became the protectors of Liyue. During the Archon War, Morax and his allies, including Guizhong and Ganyu, fought the other gods for the titles of Archon. One of the enemies, Osial, Overlord of the Vortex, was defeated by Morax. Liyue was then moved from its original spot in the Gili Plains to the south of Mount Tihang, in location of modern-day Liyue Harbor. The people of Liyue Harbor returned to commerce and artisanship, causing them to prosper again. The richest in Liyue Harbor formed the ruling leaders of Liyue Harbor, the Qixing, who had controlled all the trades going in and out of Liyue. Morax became known by the people of Liyue as Rex Lapis, the Geo Archon. Every year at the Rite of Descending, Rex Lapis would descend. He would grace the land with his prosperity and give guidance on the economic path that Liyue should follow in the upcoming years. Now that the background is set, let's get into the Liyue crisis. During the current Rite of Descending, Rex Lapis descends alright, straight to the ground. Liyue's Archon is presumed dead, and everyone in Liyue is in an absolute frantic. The people of Liyue blame the main character, and while escaping pursuit, he manages to find number 11 of the Fatui Harbingers, Tartalgia, aka Child. He gives the MC a sigil of permission so that he may speak to the Adepti. After explaining the situation to the Adepti, they assume the Qixing must have played a role in Rex Lapis' death. Later on, Ningguang of the Qixing refutes this assumption, stating, "The Liyue Qixing remain Rex Lapis' former subjects. Do you really think us capable of having played a part in his demise? Of lacking the foresight to see certain repercussions?" The Adepti and the Qixing are in direct conflict as explained by the Fatui Felix, who saw their confrontation. The Adepti do not acknowledge the Qixing, they only acknowledge the contracts of the Geo Archon. If two sides come to blows, Liyue Harbor will be in no position to stop them. So as we can see from this, the only one that they follow is the Geo Archon. The thing that keeps them not clashing with each other is the Geo Archon. While this is going on, Child is here to grab the Gnosis from the Exuvia, which is essentially Rex Lapis' dead remains. Things do not go as planned for him, as the Gnosis is nowhere to be found and he gets desperate. Realizing that Rex Lapis has not truly died, Child decides to free Osial, the god that Morax defeated during the war, so he can attack the Liyue Harbor. His reasoning is as follows: if such an ancient god were to be unleashed upon Liyue Harbor, defenseless, without the protection of its deity, do you think the cunning Rex Lapis would just stand aloof and watch the ensuing destruction? As it turns out, Child could not be more wrong. Not only does the Geo Archon not show his face, but with the help of the MC, the Adepti, and the Qixing, they're actually confronting Osial to protect Liyue Harbor. It was no easy feat, however. The Adepti had to work with the Qixing using all the power that they had, and in the end, Ningguang had to sacrifice her own Jade Chamber to finally finish off Osial. Miraculously, they are able to pull this off. And then it is all revealed as we see Zhongli, Signora, and Child together. All of this was a plan by Rex Lapis, the Geo Archon, aka Zhongli. To summarize what he did in his own words, "I feigned my own death and gathered together the cast of Child, the Adepti, the Liyue Qixing, to play their roles together in the stage that was Liyue." Everything went all according to Zhongli's plan, and he ties it all together by willingly submitting his Gnosis to Signora, saying that this was his final contract. But why did Zhongli do all this, and why does him doing this make him my favorite character? Well, in the same scene, Zhongli continues, talking about an encounter he had with a merchant. "As I was strolling along the harbor, I heard a merchant tell one of his workers, 'You finished your duties. Go ahead and call it a day.'" Zhongli is in a position unique of all the other Archons. He is the oldest living one, he has been alive for more than 6,000 years, and he's one of the last two of the original Archons. The other one being Barbados, aka Venti. And as we know, Venti does not take a direct role in Mondstadt like Zhongli does in Liyue. Zhongli has literally been doing his job longer than any of the other Archons. In addition to that, Venti has done something Zhongli has never had the opportunity to do: allow Mondstadt to take care of themselves. Being a god that represents freedom, Venti lets Mondstadt govern themselves and not rely on him, as opposed to Liyue Harbor, that's heavily relied on Rex Lapis to not only protect them, but also kept the two powers of the Adepti and the Qixing together. Zhongli essentially asked this question: will Liyue Harbor be okay when I'm gone? Which is amazing to me because it shows how much he really does care for Liyue. His dedication to the harbor is exemplified not only in the many years he's worked for them, but the fact that he also cares how it will be without him there to help. Zhongli's plan also has some important factors to remember. He needs to make sure he is not there, and there needs to be something that actually threatens Liyue. In regards to this question of will Liyue Harbor be okay when I'm gone, Zhongli summarizes that this question can only be answered in two big ways. Scenario number 1, Zhongli dies for real and then Liyue has to face it on its own. Or, scenario number 2, Zhongli creates this scenario in a controlled environment and can step in if things go too far. Because as revealed later on, if it came to a point where the forces of Liyue could not beat Osile, Zhongli himself would have stepped in and gained control. Senora adds to this by saying it would have been very easy for him to do so as well. The key here is that his plan is taking place in a controlled environment, an environment where if things went too far, if things would be an actual big crisis, he would step in and took control of everything and everything would have been okay. But then some people might say he took it too far, like Ningguang had to give up the entire Jade Palace. But I think this just gives more credit to Ningguang. The fact that she gave up something she treasures so much only shows how dedicated she is to the people of Liyue. And moreover, it shows that her and the Qixing are the exact type of people to take charge of Liyue since Rex Lapis is no more. And hey, she even says herself that she gave the Jade Palace use as negotiation leverage. Another great thing this plan did was settling things with the Adepti and the Qixing. The only thing stopping them from being at each other's throats was Rex Lapis himself. But without him, what will happen? What's the best way for them to work together? A common enemy. With the Fatui present and causing Osile to attack Liyue, the Adepti and the Qixing are forced to work together. After the battle, they're actually able to have a conversation and settle things with each other. And all this came from the plan that Zhongli set in motion. Now I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys this was a perfect plan. I'm not even going to tell you it was an amazing plan. But it was a good plan, stemming from a good purpose and a good intention. But honestly, even that makes me like Zhongli a lot. He isn't perfect, he truly isn't. He's smart, but he's not a complete genius. He doesn't have some omega master plan with all the pieces fitting perfectly while he pushes up his glasses being like, all according to plan. He just makes a solid plan to address crucial concerns and issues that Liyue was facing under the surface before they became disasters out of his control. And that's why I like him so much. He sees the issues bubbling under the surface and forces them to be solved, instead of just ignoring them and being like, well, whoever comes after me can deal with that after it all boils over. He almost forces it to boil over so he can force them to deal with it and deal with their problems. And again, to restate this fact, he has the option here to step in, because again, this is a controlled environment. And to reinforce the idea that he cares about Liyue, it is revealed in the last moments of the story that he makes sure both the Adepti and the Qixing know that he's alive. Something he did not necessarily need to do, but something he did because he cares about them. Something I love and respect so much about the character. Zhongli is my favorite character, and this is just a glimpse of why I like him so much. I'm gonna end this video on a Chinese proverb. A small hole not plugged will make you suffer a big hole, or the stitch in time saves 9. This proverb means, fix something while it can be fixed. Don't wait until it's too late to do so. Thank you guys so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and have a fantastic day.